Taloa, and it's your boy Icon with a Marvel TV review for you. And I think it's safe to assume at this point that Echo is the bad guy. Like especially this particular episode. I mean, her attitude towards the whole thing has been a little bit of sus. But I mean, she's not exactly screaming hero vibes over here based on how she's going. But before we get started, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, like and or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And let's get started with a little Echo. So it picks up in the last episode where the Kingpin had rolled up at her house. And he was, but before, when the two of them were face to face, they were looking at each other. And then because usually every episode starts with an ancestry background. This time we actually got the Kingpin background, which is funny because he's not part of the ancestry. But it shows that, how Kingpin took care of her when she was a child. There was even the moment where he was picking her up from school. She was trying to get some ice cream from an ice cream vendor. He was being kind of a dick because obviously she's deaf. She can't talk. She can't communicate. And he was just like, use your words. And then Kingpin got offended. He got offended by that. He got out, beat the guy's ass. And after he beat the guy's ass, he was just like, he called his assistant. He was like, get me a new jacket because I don't want Amaya to see this. And then Amaya was standing right there, like watching what he did. And then he came over and he was like, don't be afraid. He's like, Uncle Kingpin's got you. And then what happened was, instead of Amaya like running to him or hugging him or like running away from him, she actually walked up to the ice cream guy who was being mean to her, and then she started beating his ass and started hitting him and kicking him. So I'm like, so this girl clearly is not the hero. She's clearly not. And then it goes through like a little montage, and then we get the scene where I guess when she was like old enough and he was ready, he was like, your training is complete and it's time for you to go on your own. And then, and then she was just like, but what am I going to do? And then he still had the handler with her. And that was the funny thing, because when they were showing us earlier flashbacks with the woman who was doing the translation for the Kingpin, I was saying to myself, well, this is like 2007, 2008, blah, blah, blah. But in the current times, like during the Hawkeye series, he didn't have a translator. So I'm just like, so I guess that woman that he was using to translate eventually taught him how to do sign language, because he was doing a little bit of sign language in the Hawkeye series. So I assume this woman taught him sign language, and then he fired her. I was correct, but in the worst way possible. Once he realized her services were no longer required, he told the sign language lady, he was like, you are dismissed. And then as soon as she turned the corner, the whole room was full of like plastic. And I was like, dear Lord, they're about to kill this woman, which they did. She's seen too much. Now she got to go. So then now it takes us back to present, where the two of them are talking face to face. And then, the Kingpin was just like, I'm not mad at you for shooting me in the eye. And then he had his goons hold her. And then like they opened her eye. And then he went in his pocket. And I was just like, oh shit, we about to get an eye for an eye. I thought the Kingpin was going to come out and say, since you took mine, I'll take yours. But instead of him plucking out her eye, he put a contact lens in her eye. And the contact lens, it is actually pretty dope how they did it, if I'm being honest. It was technology that Amaya has the contact lens in her eye. And the Kingpin was talking to her. As he's talking to her, the contact lens translates what he's saying to her in sign language through the contact. And I was just like, well, damn, that was some pretty cool ass technology, but then he was talking to her, then he was just like, let's have a family dinner the way we used to have. And then she was just like, no. But then he showed up. So the two of them had a family dinner. They went inside, he tried to offer her some wine. She poured it down the drain. And then he basically told her, he was just like, look, he's like, I want you back. He said, I need you back in New York. He's like, I cared about you and this, that, and the third. And the thing is, she was basically telling him to fuck off, and she was like, I don't trust you, and this, that, and the third. But I don't understand. The whole problem with this entire situation started because Hawkeye said that Fisk ordered him to kill her father. With all the conversations that Fisk and Amaya had throughout the entire episode, she never asked him about her father. Like, because that's the whole point of what drove the wedge between them, and she's not bringing it up. It's like, at what point are you going to say, bro, why did you have my father killed? Like, where's that conversation? So anyway, so he was just like, look, he said that I want you back. He said, I'll offer you, the Queenpin, position of New York City as long as you come back with me and everything. So he, and then he looked at a photo. He looked at a photo in her house that was like her and all her relatives, and I feel like he's gonna kidnap her relatives at some point, because they showed him looking at the photo for a reason. So now he knows that she has family. She told him that she'll think about his offer, and then he's like, I'm staying at a casino, and then he was like, come see me, so we can leave. So then she goes and talks to the dude that runs the roller roller skating ring, and then he was just like, I can't believe you about to do this shit. He was like, what the hell is wrong with you? And then she's like, I gotta do what I gotta do. And then, he's just like, no, he's like, he said that the reason why I'm in the position I'm in is because Fisk killed my entire family. He's like, I have no one left. And then after that, Amaya started wigging out a little bit because the ancestors started speaking to him. And I guess this was Taloa's turn, because she actually made herself appear before the grandmother. But at the same time, like, Amaya was going through like her spiritual visual, finding or whatever, was because she was seeing like different things from the past. The woman in the cave, the girl with the shotgun, the woman that had the fight with the foosball. She was seeing all these different people. And then she even saw the one from today's episode who's the healer, but her grandmother simultaneously was having the exact same visions. So both of them were seeing the same thing, and Amaya started freaking out. So then homeboy took her to the grandmother once and for all, because he was like, yo, I gotta talk about this shit. So she goes to her grandmother. She has a conversation with the grandmother. The grandmother explained to her about the ancestry. And then that's where we get like the old school flashback, because she said that when she was pregnant with her mother, she was having problems, she was having complications, and then one of the spirits' ancestors, the one that protects people, I guess Taloa, she showed up, and then she guided the grandmother, to having, to giving birth to the mom. And then she said that, like, I loved your mother, like your mother was everything to me. And then, her she was like, then your father got her killed. And then, after her father got her killed, she was like, it broke me. And then Amaya basically cursed her out. She was just like, but I was a child. And she's like, you hated my dad, but you also disowned me at the same time. And she was like, I needed you and you chose yourself and you were being selfish. And then she got mad and she walked out. But at least, I guess, the visions got explained. And like I said, because this is a tale of Native American ancestry, I'm perfectly fine with her having the visions, because she even said the visions didn't start coming until she returned to Oklahoma. I'm perfectly fine with her having the visions and seeing the ancestors and the ancestors guiding her along her quest. Perfectly fine with that. She better not bust out with superpowers in the final episode. That's all I'm saying, because this show doesn't seem like, it's not a superpower show. Like, it's supposed to be a grounded show. So then after she storms out, she ends up thinking about everything. She goes back to Kingpin. And then when she goes back to Kingpin, she was going to kill him. But then he was just like, if you're going to kill me, he said, use the instrument that I used to kill my father and get it over with. And then she decided not to kill him. So she puts the hammer down. And then Kingpin's like, well, I guess that means I'll see you on the next flight in the morning. And then he leaves. So Kingpin, he's expecting her to be on the plane in the morning. She goes home. She starts thinking about life. She starts having more visions of the ancestry. Her grandmother, I guess, is about to make her a superhero costume. Though she looked like she had one on, because she had on like a burgundy bodysuit with like a belt strap on the chest. And I was like, that looks pretty badass to me. But her grandmother looked like she was making her more of a traditional, like superhero costume or whatever. So I don't know what's going on with the grandma. I don't know what her grandmama thinking. I have no idea what the ancestors are even trying to tell them. I don't know what, because like I said, this whole series is so far, it's basically about, about Amaya wanting to be a bad guy. Like, like her goal in life is to be a villain, is to be like the queen of organized crime. So I'm just like, this isn't very endearing. But then it's like, but in order for her to, get the seat at the table, she got to get rid of the person who's already sitting at the table. So it's assumed at this point that she's going to go off with Kingpin and she's going to take his offer. And then it shows Amaya, like, after she has the visions for the final time, visions of like all her family and friends and everything, she gets on a motorcycle and she leaves Oklahoma. And then that's when one of the Kingpin's homeboys was just like, sir, we tracked her. She actually left the state and she's not coming with you. And then the Kingpin gets mad and like he destroys his own plane. That's how the episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. I have no idea what's happening, but that's not a bad thing. That's actually intriguing. We got one more episode to go. I have no idea what's motivating this woman. Like, I don't know what her purpose is. Like, it's not about her saving people. It's not about her saving lives. It's not about her protecting the city. She's just doing random shit. I have no idea what she's doing. But we'll see what happens in the final episode. So share your questions, comments, and concerns, and we'll continue to talk about it. I do love the flashbacks, especially New York City specifically. And I'm glad that we're actually out of Oklahoma now. So maybe the final episode will take place in New York, because that's kind of what I want to see. Let's share your questions, and we'll continue to talk about it. Check me out on X and Instagram, always on YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and concerns. What do you think about this particular episode of Echo? Maybe we'll find out in the season finale why they call her Echo, and we'll continue to talk about that as well. So as I said, until next time, guys, for the season finale of Echo, the 5-part series, take care, look out for the protection of the world around you, and we're at this bitch.